Hey, yo, this is Micah Cortez.
Seth Cortez.
We are the Audacity, and you are listening to Drinking at Moe's.
All right, everybody. Want to thank Reaper Apparel for having Drinkin' at Moe's be a brand ambassador. They encourage everybody to break out of that comfort zone, live their best self, which, hey, that's what got me starting the podcast. But they got great clothing, great apparel, t-shirts, hoodies, beanies, hats, all that good stuff. Be sure, link will be in the description, and use the code Drinkin' at Moe's to get 10% off your order. Let's fucking go.
Drinkin' at Moe's, Big Mo here. Be sure YouTube, as always, like, subscribe, comment, helps with that pain in the ass YouTube algorithm. We're most places you can find your podcast. Today, I have with me, I'm excited because they got a pretty big match coming up for Wrestling Is Now on the 18th. Big triple threat match. The Audacity. How are you guys doing?
Doing good, man.
We're doing pretty good, yeah.
Thanks for having us, man.
It's a pleasure. I've been excited to be a part of this whole Wrestling Is Now social media tour, and I've had the SAT on like a while back, and things happened to where they weren't able to be on when I have them scheduled for the social media tour, but they were literally my first ever podcast recording over Zoom.
Oh, really?
I love those guys. They're awesome.
Yeah, we have. We have some nice history with them.
I've seen, and I have a couple questions when we get into everything on that. But the first thing I'd like to start off with everybody with, especially the first timers, is what got you started as a fan, and then what got you started deciding to make the leap into the business?
For me, starting as a fan, I would say my oldest brother, Eric, I just remember him watching it, and I kind of just always remember watching it. Like, I don't remember where it started, but I remember him watching it and me being in the room watching it with him. I feel like my first memory is seeing Iron Sheik, but my first clear memory is, I guess it could have been a little bit before this, but what I remember is Papa Shango making Ultimate Warrior throw up. I remember that clearly, vividly.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one. Oh, man, that was some crazy stuff. But
yeah, it was pretty much the same thing. Like, I remember my brother always watching it, but I remember my first memory was we back in the day we used to watch through the Scramble, because we could hear the pay-per-view. We couldn't afford them, so we listened to the pay-per-view. And I remember seeing it was Slaughter and Hogan, and I remember like you can kind of see Hogan every now and then, and then I remember he just had like blood on his face. So like that's like one of my first memories of watching it.
Oh yeah, no, I remember doing that very same thing every now and then. I'd be in my room, have the TV on, and then I'd actually find the channel where the Scramble was on, and like, holy shit!
It was the best. We grew up in a good time.
Oh yeah, and I remember my first like clear memory, because I have plenty of memory, like vague memories of, good Lord, going all the way back to, I remember first seeing Bruiser Brody on TV, and then I'm like just seeing how crazy the crowd got around him, and then I finally, pardon my dogs, but I got to see my first ever live WWE show, and at the time, one of my favorites, and he's still a personal favorite of mine, Big Boss Man.
Oh, it's great.
Seeing him And my dad had ended up for Christmas getting us floor seats. So we were like right near the entrance. And I see him come in, and then I find out that his opponent was Yokozuna.
Oh, that's crazy.
And I was like a little third grader, and I'm seeing Yokozuna walking by me as I'm like right at the entrance. I'm just
the monster.
jaw on the floor, like holy.
Yeah,
for sure.
That's so sick.
Oh man,
that sucks because like I remember because we never at that time we never got to see it live. Later on, we went, and it was around, what was that,
98?
Yeah, around 98. We finally got to see I think the main event was Steve Austin and The Rock versus Kane and The Undertaker.
Nice.
And it was a Monday. It was a Monday Night Raw.
That was our first
That was like
live Raw, but that was actually the Raw when Stone Cold poured cement in Vince McMahon's Corvette.
Yeah,
that was a hell of a one to be at. I remember.
Yeah,
my first ever like TV one was actually the one where this was back pre The Rock. He was still Rocky Maivia at the time, and Owen Hart beat him for the Intercontinental title.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
I was at that show.
That's so sick.
So yeah. Awesome. So second part of that question, what made you guys decide to make the leap into the business?
Well, in 2014, I kind of, actually backtrack 2013. We had a friend that kind of did he kind of rented out a wrestling ring and put on like very unprofessional shows, and we would just go in there and do whatever we thought was wrestling. And I remember he had me and my brother wrestle each other, and everyone's like, oh, you guys put on the best match out of everyone. And it was kind of in my head there, but it was more of a fantasy job, not very realistic. And I kind of just didn't really think of it, And one day I was dating this girl at the time, and I showed her a video of me, and she's like, why don't you start wrestling? And I was like, I just didn't really think of it. And she's like, well, my dad used to wrestle. She's like, you should just look up schools or whatever. And so I ended up Googling some schools. I found one in Deer Park, and from there, we started. And I actually stopped for a little bit, and then in 2000, I think the end of 2016, I wanted to go back there to see Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, because they were doing a live. They were going to be at the show, or whatever. And so I went there, and then they kind of convinced me to come back. And then I told them that I would bring my brother, and then they just made us a tag team.
Nice.
Yeah, I remember I was actually competing in mixed martial arts. I was doing that for a long time. And the school I was at, eventually, I did it for like 5 years. Eventually that closed down. So I started working like a normal job, and I wasn't training or anything. I was doing a lot of running, and I remember he told me about that wrestling. He's like, oh, we got to wrestle each other, whatever. So I did that. And that's when I started like actually weight training, and right after the match with him, I started weight training and everything. And then what was it, like not too long after that, I went down he told me to come down to the school. He started before me, and then
we started together in 2007.
Yeah,
and that was maybe like 4 or 5 months in, we had our debut match.
Yeah.
Okay. And you guys have had a pretty decent career so far. I know I've seen a little picture of being the NYWC tag champs. And I think this is where I saw part of that history with SAT. There was another with who the show on the May 18th that wrestling is kind of partnering with Outlaw Wrestling. Mm-hmm. And in these two pictures, I saw the masks that were on you guys. And I'm like, me being the super huge Ninja Turtle fan that I am, I saw those masks. I'm like, dude, that looks like Casey Jones.
Yeah, so I got the idea. Originally when we first started, the promoter wanted us to be like, he wanted us to wear plaid and everything. So he's like, he's like, because we weren't really coming up with anything. He was kind of just going to throw us on the show. for the first match, and I was like, well, I was kind of after the first match, right, when we started doing
Yeah, it was a little bit after.
Yeah, it was a little bit after. He's like, oh, you got to come up with a thing, because we were wearing basically gear that you
just
you
like
know,
workout, like tights.
yeah, like you grapple in, like those you get them from Amazon or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, when we started picturing ourselves coming out to the ring, I was like, I always like Casey Jones, I always like Ninja Turtles, we always comic book nerds, all that stuff. So I was like, he's a cool character and no one really uses, he had a cool look. So I was
right?
like, right. So then I was just like, he had like a weird like little shoulder pad. I remember the toy and the cartoon. So I was like, maybe we can get I took just basically, whatever, football pads, and I just cut them in half, gave one to him, put one on, and we just wore the masks. And then we used to come out the hockey sticks too. So I was just like, we used to use them as weapons and everything. So we kind of had the whole Casey Jones shtick going. It's a lot of fun. We might bring back the hockey sticks, but we've been leaving them in the back for now.
Yeah, no, I am, like I said, huge Ninja Turtle fan. When I was growing up, it was pro wrestling and Ninja Turtles for me. Like I got a growing little collection of Funko Pops and figures downstairs. And actually, funny story involving Ninja Turtles before we get to the May 18th show. There is I live in Omaha, Nebraska. There's an Comic Con coming up in July, and just found out this weekend that they are having the guy that voiced Splinter in the first two original movies at that. I'm like, I saw that. I'm like, oh my God, I have to go.
Yeah, you gotta be there for that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I have to be there for that.
I like those because it's always like an obscure person that like you never knew who they were, because they weren't on camera or anything. It's always like someone like they had the guy who I think he recently passed away. He did Batman's voice in the animated series.
Oh yeah,
yeah. It's always like people like that, which is cool because you never get to know them.
I know, right? I never would have I mean, I guess I could have gone back and watched the movies and try to pay attention to when the credits are rolling at the end.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, my attention at that point is just like, okay, movie over.
Yeah, same, exactly.
But man, I'm super excited to get to that. And actually, wrestling related, Rikishi is actually going to be there too.
Very cool.
Oh, the Big Goose.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm excited. But the whole reason we are here today, May 18th, wrestling is now, Outlaw Wrestling got a big show coming up, and you guys are in there in a 3-way tag with, I believe it was the Slime Balls and the Homies.
Yep.
What are you guys thinking going into that?
Well, I'm thinking for that, we're definitely going to have a very good match with them because, we've been in the ring with the Homies before, and they're tough dudes and they could bring it. The Slime Balls, we've known them for a while. We're going to definitely mix it up with them. We know how they are, and I think we got their number.
Yeah, we definitely have the advantage, I think. We're faster than the Slime Balls. We're stronger. I know that. Maybe not the big guy, but we can beat up the little guy, Sage. And then we've already beat the Homies, so we have that on them. So
we've beaten them in a different triple threat tag match, so we have one on them already. But a thing about the Homies, funny, back in the past when we were mentioning the first Raw's War that we ever went to, the guy that brought us there was Mr. Robert Franklin, and now he is actually managing the Homies.
Yeah.
And he was actually on our team in our debut match. He teamed with us, so I feel a little betrayed by him. So I'm gonna, definitely keep an eye out on him. He better not be doing anything suspicious, because
we already
know him.
He's already betrayed you guys to go with the competition. I can understand having some eyes in the back of your head and maybe have a little receipt.
You might have to bring out the hockey sticks for this one.
Oh yeah, that's perfect thing right there. Bringing out the hockey sticks. bring out the full blown Casey Jones stuff there.
Yeah, golf club, cricket bat.
Oh yeah, gotta get the whole package there.
Yeah.
But besides that match? What are maybe some of the other matches on the card that you guys are looking forward to? Just being able to sit back and enjoy watching.
Honestly, anything Joey Conway is in is going to be a banger. That honestly, love that guy. That's my dude. He's a true pro, and any success he gets, he deserves it.
Absolutely, same.
Oh yeah, the match that he's in, I've actually interviewed 2 different participants in that match, Joey Conway being one, and Papadon. I had him on. He was my first stop on this Wrestling Is Now social media tour, so I'm very excited for that. But then kind of going back to
a legend. Papadon rules. He's a legend.
Oh yeah, no, totally. I remember telling some people that I know out on the West Coast that, hey, I'm going to be interviewing, and they're like, oh my God, I remember him. And like, he had been out there for a bit. So I was like, okay, cool. Like I knew of him from some of the West Coast stuff, because that's actually where I got my start watching independent wrestling, when I was stationed out in San Diego, going to the independent shows out there. So,
oh yeah,
very aware. I've gotten to
I remember seeing Papadon on. He was in The Wrestler in the movie. I remember seeing him in the.
Wow, you know what? As much as I've seen that movie, I'm gonna have to go back and watch that, because
a young
for some reason I don't remember his part.
Yeah, if you watch that, there's a ton of guys. Like, first time I watched it, I wasn't in wrestling, so like, I didn't really know who a lot of them were. And then once we started, I ended up watching again, and I was like, I know a lot of these guys. Like, I've met them. Like, crazy.
Oh man, that's gonna be insane. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to go back and watch that. And kind of going back,
great movie.
Oh yeah, totally great movie. And kind of going back to your guys' match, me being the fan of tag team wrestling that I am, I mean, some of my favorites, my absolute favorite all time, the Road Warriors. I actually got to see them live once. Yep. And I regret that I never got to meet either one of them. But what would you say? I mean, I've had people in the singles aspect. I've had the tags. I've had the trios on. What, in your opinion, makes tag team wrestling so special?
There's just so much stuff you can do. There's there's actually like more thought that has to go into the matches. There's more action. You can't just like, when we were kids, we were playing with action figures and we're just throwing them, tag team match, everyone's fighting each other. But there has to be, logic to what you're doing in there. And that's what I was always a fan of. Like the Hart Foundation, they were so technical. Road Warriors was so like brutal strength, ground and pound and everything. Plus there were high flyers, which was crazy. They'd come off the Doomsday Device. I was always just a fan of I was always a fan of the Road Warriors too. Like that's where like I kind of got the shoulder pad thing from too. Yeah, they were so iconic. Just walking to the ring, like just their entrance was like insane. People would lose their mind.
Oh yeah, there's a reason they call it the Road Warrior Pop. Like
exactly.
Remember the one time I got to see them live. I think them and Stone Cold Steve Austin, the only 2 ever acts that I've seen live, that literally I was so excited that I was on my feet from that moment the music hit to the moment they went back. I'm like on my feet, like, oh my God.
Yeah. What a time. And you went through the golden age era, plus through the Attitude. Like we missed the golden age, but you got to see it, which is actually really cool. Like I would have loved to see the Road Warriors growing up.
Oh man, they're absolute favorites of mine. I know I somewhat collect wrestling figures and that stuff, and the classic dang it, what was the classic, the small ones, the Hasbro's.
The
That they
Hasbro's,
have
yeah.
the red and the red shoulder pads, the black spikes and stuff. I'm like, if I could ever find those, it would be hard for me not to buy them.
What were the rubber ones called?
The rubber ones, the LGNs.
The LG.
Oh, the LGNs, yeah.
Weren't there Road Warrior ones with the shoulder pads?
I don't remember.
Was there?
I
Or maybe
know
that
what
maybe WCW made Road Warrior ones. I remember seeing like I thought it was the LGNs, but I remember seeing like those toys and stuff. They were so cool.
Oh
I
yeah.
always loved the Road Warriors look. They were just so cool looking. They were the best.
Yeah. No, totally agree with you.
Real superheroes.
Totally. Real life superheroes. That's the way a lot of the guys back then, especially, I mean, even now too, real life superheroes. Some of the things you see people being able to pull off is just like, holy crap. Like back then, the Road Warriors with the Doomsday device and just the way the guy flipped around and then, oh man.
Yeah. Yeah, me and my brother stole that, but I drop kick him off the shoulders. But it's just like seeing that as a kid, like the guy do the flip, I'm like, oh my God, they just killed this guy. Like he's not getting it was great.
And then you hear the story of what was it, the old nightclub story with them and Vince McMahon and him wanting to take everybody's finisher and like Vince taking the finisher.
Was it off the bar or something?
Off of the bar or some sort of stage in there. I'm like, holy crap.
Yeah, I heard about that. Vince had to show that he was one of the boys.
Yeah.
So
absolutely funny. Insane. Well, to kind of round things off, I got two categories. One's a bit of a name game where I name off some people and you give me your first thoughts on them. And you know what? You guys being a tag team, I figure we'll do a tag team edition of this little name game here. So like I said, I name off some people. You give me your first thoughts on them.
Sure.
First up, one of my personal favorites right now, FTR.
Greatest of our generation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely a dream tag team match to be against them.
And hey, with the AEW there, it is kind of likely that it very well could happen. I mean, they don't have as strict a thing of not going other places as like WWE does. So AEW talent does get out on the independents every now and then. Next up, oh no, that I would love to see that one for sure. I got to see FTR live in Kansas City, like that. I wanted to say a month or so ago, and loved it. Next up, they kind of on a bit of an interesting situation here, but the Usos.
Oof. Probably could say the same thing. Greatest of our generation. It's like I don't know who could touch them besides possibly the FTR. I mean, they've had matches against each other in the past, but now that they're like both like 100% at their finest, it would be unbelievable to see them. Like the Usos, I couldn't even imagine. That would be ridiculous to wrestle them. I could just learn so much.
Yeah, they're a different level, totally different level.
Oh, totally. And you know, you don't get a promotion to have any title on you for as long as they had those tag titles without you being that damn good and
absolutely
them having that much belief in you.
Absolutely.
100%.
Totally. Next up, I've met one of these guys a couple times. I've met the other one once. But they are doing their thing in this new era of Ring of Honor. The Kingdom, Matt Taven and Mike Bennett.
Underrated. Definitely underrated. They definitely bring it. I've seen a few of their matches and they're great. They got great chemistry together, and they've gone back a long ways. So it's good to see them back together. So
definitely another team we'd love to get in the ring with.
Oh yeah, and another one that it's likely that it could happen. I know I've met Mike Bennett at a handful of independent shows. I actually met them both at Sammy Callahan's promotion, Wrestling Revolver. They had a show out there. I'm wanting to say they were facing off against the Rascals, and that was one hell of a match right there. But yes, no, I would have to agree with as good as they have been. You know, right now, definitely underrated for sure.
Definitely.
Next up, one that, I mean, they say everybody loves them, the Acclaimed.
The Acclaimed would absolutely, I feel like we'd have a banger match with them.
Over as hell.
Yeah, they're awesome. Even I'm a fan.
It takes somebody special to be able to get over a phrase like "scissor me, daddy ass." And boy, have they got that damn phrase over.
Absolutely. Yeah, they're like the new age outlaws, you know?
You know what? Very much so. I can definitely see that. And I mean, it helps that the guy they have behind them is one of them. Yeah. The original New Age Outlaws. So very much a fitting similarity there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we've been in the locker room with Max before. He's a cool dude.
I've never had the pleasure of actually meeting either one of them, but they were another one of the group that I saw when I went to the AEW show in Kansas City, and they actually faced off against the guys that we just talked about in the Kingdom. I actually have a recording of the rap that they did on the Kingdom on my podcast TikTok page. So.
That's sick.
Yeah, they're entertaining as hell. I love all those raps when they come out.
Oh, just you know whenever they're coming out, you're almost sitting in anticipation, wondering what is going to come out of his mouth.
It's going to rip someone apart.
Oh, totally, and make people. Goddamn dog acting nuts, but make people just laughing their ass off when they're doing it. Man, like I told you, got a great dang. She's having a little too much energy right now. But anyways, next category, I have some random questions. Some might be wrestling related, some might not be. You just give me the first answer that pops into your head.
Okay.
First one, craziest in-match moment for you guys.
For me, it was taking the Spanish Fly from the SAT.
Okay.
Yeah, so like every time we wrestle, they always end up hitting me with it. And each time it's like, it's crazier and crazier. Just like what we're doing midair, you know? The last one, I remember the last time we wrestled them, I actually was battling with stomach flu for like a week straight.
Oh boy.
I was sick as hell when I went in there. And I remember we were about to win. They cut us off. They had me up top. They would hit me as we were in midair, they hit me with the Spanish Fly. I remember I was just like, I hope I don't shit my pants. Because it was bad.
Oh,
but I
can
imagine closing my eyes, and as soon as I hit the ground, I was like, oof. I was like, it's over. I can't get up from that one.
I would say for me, it's a tie between the first time we stepped in the ring with SAT, because we used to watch them back in the day in HWA. We watched them from the crowd, and they were like a big influence on us. And we were like, these guys are crazy. They're awesome, innovative wrestlers. Being against them for the first time in the ring, that was pretty holy crap moment. And that, and I'd have to say, being across the ring from Tito Santana was pretty crazy, just from knowing him from when I was a little kid.
Yeah, that was
and then to actually being in the ring against him, it's pretty surreal.
Yeah, it was crazy.
I can only imagine. I know I've been able to witness a few crazy moments. Excuse me. I love my Dr. Pepper, but it gives me the burps like crazy. But I've had some crazy moments I got to witness. One that I love telling because one of the guys was actually, I made him the best man at my wedding because he introduced me to my wife. But it was this promotion's version of the Money in the Bank ladder match. And they had a ladder bridge between the guardrail and the ring apron.
Yeah.
And my friend has this guy on his back in a move. It reminds me of Sheamus with the white noise, where he has like the legs up here and stuff.
Yeah.
And then I see him look down at the ladder. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Do not tell me you are about to do. No, it leaps, ladder folds, and they disappear on the other side of the ring. I'm like, God damn, dude.
Yikes.
And the only one I've seen that can actually top that was actually my first ever death match that I got to see. And not like these hardcore matches that, you know, they just say death match on it, but like GCW, CZW style death match. And it was Jake Christ versus Joel Bateman. And they ended it by them taking 4 folding chairs and bridging 2 panes of glass on there.
Oh, great.
And then I see Jake's manager rolling in there, and he pulls out of his pocket a thing of lighter fluid. They lit the glass on fire.
Of course.
Why wouldn't they?
Yeah, why wouldn't they? Yeah.
They should have wrapped the whole thing in barbed wire, too.
You know, there was barbed wire involved, and it was actually the match right after they had just had a Monsters Ball match. So there was barbed wire, there was thumbtacks all over the ring. They were getting ready to clean up, and Jake Chris rolls in and says, "Fuck that, leave it, let's go."
Did you see Masada? He accidentally like lit himself on fire, doing the fireball.
Yep.
Yeah, it was wild. I remember the first class I ever took in wrestling. He was the guest teacher, the guest trainer that day. So I was like, Masada's in it? That's great. He wasn't the normal trainer. He just happened to be there that day. He was ripping everyone. He was awesome. He was ripping everyone apart.
He was cool. He was ripping everyone apart. He ripped us apart, and then he just made fun of everyone. But then he liked me and Seth because we were like into heavy music. So
okay.
I hope he's okay. I hope he's all right.
Oh yeah, no, that looked insane. Like I didn't actually get to see the actual match, but I mean the footage was all over the place, and I'm just like, God.
Yeah. And it was crazy. Like he like blew the fire, it covered him. He like kind of jogged around the ring, and then like it was out. Like it like the fire like subsided or whatever. It looked scary.
Yeah, it almost looked like when he got on fire was like he breathed the stuff out, but then when he went to breathe it back in, it like sucked some of it back to his face.
Right. Yeah. That's probably
it was on his face for a good few seconds, maybe a minute.
No, that was insane.
That was terrifying.
Next question I have, because I actually helped make one of my favorites for my wife for Mother's Day. I'm a Nebraska country boy. I love a good steak. What would you guys say is a favorite food for you guys?
Ooh, for me, honestly, my girl knows almost at least every, I'd say 2 days, I get that chicken over rice from the halal spot. Ooh, I love that. And I'd say my favorite meal of all time, like I always say, this would be my death row meal, would be chicken parmesan with stuffed shells with the vodka sauce.
Ooh, that sounds pretty damn good.
Yeah, I love steak. That's what I usually get. Like a nice New York strip, or I'll make like pepper steak constantly. I'll always make pepper steak with rice. That I can eat that forever. Like I literally can eat steak forever.
Oh yeah, that made my wife a steak dinner for Mother's Day. And my other favorite one, kind of going off of the chicken parm idea there, and my wife gives me shit about this because literally every time we go to an Italian place, I'm always looking for where the lasagna is on the menu. Because I'm like, oh man, you give me a good lasagna, I'm like, oh, I'm like
So good.
butter, damn it.
You're like Garfield.
No, yeah, like Garfield, exactly. Love my
Stop
damn
that,
lasagna.
Yeah, but you can't forget about the eggplant parmesan too. Ooh,
Oh,
so good.
yeah, that is some good stuff. Man, I'm making myself hungry over here talking all this food stuff. Need to get on to another question here. For people that might not be familiar with you guys, if you had to choose like a match or two to introduce people to you guys, what would those match or matches be?
SAT matches.
Probably the you like the first or second better?
I like the second time we wrestled them.
I think the second one was a little better. Yeah.
Yeah, we wrestled SAT. That's I'd probably pick that one because we got to show like our high flying stuff. We got to do a lot of high flying stuff.
Yeah, wrestling them is always like super. It's always just going to be a good match against them because they're just one of the goats. And I would say we have really good matches with a team called the Rep from CZW.
Okay.
When you're in the ring with the Rep, you know you're in a fight. Like you feel it, and I love that. If it's hard hitting and it wakes you up, yeah, it's like all right, wake the hell up, and I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
They're sick.
Oh yeah.
They're
No,
definitely-
that's my type of match. That's my type of wrestling match I like to see in general, but especially tag team wrestling. Since I'm such a huge fan of tag team wrestling, you get that mix in there with the hard hitting and just I love it. I'm gonna have to go look those ones up for sure. Next up, I would feel weird with the name of a show like Drinkin' at Moe's if I did not have this question on here. Favorite drink, whether alcoholic, non, or hell, one of each.
So me, I don't really drink all too often. I used to drink back in my younger days, but in my older days, I would say I usually like a nice little mezcal margarita.
Okay.
And other than that, back in my day, I used to drink that Cameron Dipset Scissor. I don't know if you know what that is. It's that purple drink. It definitely went out of business. It went out of business though. They used to have like a legit bottle made. But yeah, that's back in the day. That and Hennessy. I used to drink Hennessy.
I used to just go to the bar and have this Jack and Cokes. I used to just order a ton of those. And regular drink, I drink lemon water every day. So like that would be my normal drink.
Definitely water and once in a while Yoo-hoo.
Normal drink right here. I got it.
Did you try? Is it Dr. Pepper? They did the strawberries and cream or something?
I've had that. It's okay. I don't know if I'd go and buy a whole big ass case of it, but it wasn't bad.
Yeah, my friend said he liked that.
I do like the cherry one. The
cherry, yeah.
That's one of my personal favorites. And then
I don't try to drink soda that much, but if I see it in a store, usually I'll get it. It's like rare, but usually I'll get the Surge. Remember Surge?
Oh God, yeah.
Do that every once in a while.
Oh yeah. I never see it around here anymore, but I do remember it being like huge.
Yeah.
It was like what Coca-Cola's version of the Mountain Dew, basically.
Pretty much, yeah.
I went to this like it's like Mexican food, Moe's, but right? But they had Mellow Yellow, and I never had that before, and it was so good. It was like it tastes like lemonade soda. It wasn't just like Sprite or anything. It was like lemonade soda. It was really.
You know, speaking of that, I actually had this. I went on a trip over to Greece and Italy, and there is the soda over there that it was basically a carbonated lemonade.
Right.
And like everywhere I went, I'm like, from the first time I had it, I'm like, oh my God, where is this? I got to find it. We got a spot that has that around here. But oh boy, I'm trying to think of alcoholic one for me. I can't go wrong with a margarita there. I do love a good one. I actually like to make them with I have the rocks tequila, the Terramana. Like you put that stuff in a margarita, holy crap. There's that whole 1 tequila, 2 tequila, 3 tequila floor. You drink 2 or 3 of those with enough of that in there and not being able to tell there's alcohol in it, you're on the floor.
Yeah, I mean, I barely drink at all anymore. Like maybe like once every couple weekends, I'll have like mezcal margarita, which my girl introduced me to. But back in 2012, I was just like an animal. I would every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we'd go to a spot, and I would start off with, well, before I even got there, we would start off with, me and my friends would start off with a bottle of Ciroc. We'd finish that, then we'd go straight to a Long Island iced tea, another Long Island iced tea, then a whole bunch of shots, then maybe like a Heineken, and then back to like some random mixed drink, and then we'd call it a night. It was bad.
Man, you would have fit right along with the drinking that we did on deployment. Holy crap. Like I remember one time we were in the Middle East and the British Navy were there, and me and them were going pitcher for pitcher of beer, and we were just like pound. And when I went through in foreign ports, they actually breathalyzed you when you got back to the ship. There was no way in hell I was passing that. Luckily, we were in the back of the line, and the people I were with were like, dude, just go. We'll sign you back.
They had mercy on you.
Yeah, yep, they did. They did. Last but not least, best advice for anybody wanting to get into wrestling.
Best advice, I would say.
Don't do it.
I would say either don't do it, or if you're going to do it, no matter how hard it gets, just stick to it. Because if you take time off, that's the worst thing you could do. Just stick with it, and definitely always have a backup plan.
No, I can definitely understand, because, just like in life in general, you might run into some tough times leading to you working your way towards the goal. And, you might think, I'm done. But you never know just how close you might be to that goal, that if you would have just stuck it out,
yep,
you 100%. Might be there.
All right.
Absolutely. You never know. You never know what's around the corner. You never know what's coming tomorrow.
Definitely.
Definitely stick with it. Give it your all, though.
Oh, definitely. Well, before we go, where can people find you guys social media wise? So if they don't already have their eyes on you, they can go ahead and get them there.
You can find me on Instagram at MC_Audacity. And that's pretty much the main outlet I use. I don't really, I'm on Facebook a little bit, but it's more like.
You're on Twitter too, right?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter, MC_Audacity. But Facebook, I try not to add too many people on Facebook, but it's Micah Cuevas. That's Micah Cuevas.
All right. But
you can always just type our name into YouTube, and a couple of videos will come up.
Okay, definitely. Well, that is about all I have. I want to thank you guys for taking the time to talk to me, and best of luck there on the 18th.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having us.
Thanks for having us, man.
Thank you.